What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage, and we are back today with a quick update video in regards to the upcoming War Scourge. Now that we've got some data mines in regards to how each of the individual nodes are actually going to be broken down by the trait category. We're going to be going through some of the team recommendations preemptively anyways. I haven't heard of anything relating to test servers for other content creators to try out, but I mean, that's definitely going to be something that's in the works. But for sure, we're going to be discussing, what the best teams are to utilize for nodes 1 to 10. I'm going to put this in the bottom right here. As you can see, starting with nodes 1 and 2, it's going to be mainly now slotted in as the bio team. Next up, we have Avengers, which actually includes a really big roster selection. I think it's going to be pretty promising for those nodes, so no issues there. As you guys know, nodes 5 and 10, they've already told us a long time that it was Heroes Asgardians, and then as well adding Ravagers and Wave 1. And then next up, we do have Villains, which we're very familiar with from previous Scourges, and as well, the skill team now is being added back here in terms of what we've seen historically, but very similar to what we used in Global. So, I mean, there's going to be some similar character synergies there, but we'll go through it in more detail for sure. So, guys, in case you're not aware, you can actually sort and filter all the rosters by going through your specific roster screen here and just adding the filter, and that way you can actually take a look at each of these applicable characters for these the nodes specifically for unlocking RedHulk. And as well, we can take a look here in terms of kind of gaining a sense of which teams and synergies that we've already kind of utilized in the past two Scourges and the recommendations. Now, high level, guys, we know that the bio team is actually going to consist of this new team being the Gamma team as well. And you can do some things like this as well, right? In the previous two Scourges, I went through and I did unlock the featured character, which at the time was Morgan Le Fay, and as well as Rogue. And what you can do is you can just immediately unlock them by, I think it was about 450, 500k points, and you can directly unlock the featured legendary horseman. And then what you can typically do is bring them back into the Scourge afterwards, higher level difficulty, and invest in them there. Because you can see with RedHulk, he's also going to be a bio character and part of that Gamma team. So that can be one tactic to actually invest in the Gamma team and then actually bring them in as a run. But if you're strictly just focused on trying to unlock RedHulk, that's not going to be the approach here then. It's really seeing what other characters you can utilize. So it goes without saying, the bio team is something that's always used in Doom 2, Doom 3 raids. So, I mean, there's two teams that come to mind right away if you guys already have them built. And it's going to be this Web Warriors mixture here, right? The Web Warriors already are part of the meta, and it's consisting of Ghost Spider, Scarlet Spider, OG Spider-Man. We have Spider-Punk. We also have Spider-Man Miles Morales. These 5 characters are going to be more than enough in terms of getting through it, but they might need a combination of other characters as well. Which characters of that can actually provide value here, right? So, I mean, Squirrel Girl and Miss Marvel, part of the Young Avengers. Fortunately, they're also part of a bio classification, so we can definitely utilize that synergy if needed. And it's nice because Miles can actually slot in for both the Young Avengers and the Web Warriors if needed. So, I think we're just going to have to see how the waves and the nodes play out. But these are, without a doubt, characters that you likely would have already invested in the last two Scourges, so they're going to provide value. If you guys need another B team too, the symbiotes, like I said, if you're OG like me and you have a lot of these characters built up in the first time that you ran Dark Dimension 3, even parts of Dark Dimension 4, the symbiotes team is something I already have built up, so likely they can add value there as well. If you don't have those characters and you're just trying to build up a makeshift team, some of the better character synergies is I would recommend Yo-Yo and Black Bolt, just because of that, the synergy of the Inhuman working against each other as well. Yo-Yo having that synergy as well with Black Bolt, but the Swift Protector, ensuring that if there's no other Protector ally, she's always going to be applying offense down to that enemy. That might be a saving grace in these waves. So, I mean, I think that goes without saying. Those are definitely some of the better characters that I can see right now in terms of the bio classification. Otherwise, anybody else isn't really part of the meta. But I mean, Spider-Woman, I don't have her built up. She's actually a really good character, great kit. So aspects of the A-Force is here if you already have them built up. So I would recommend that as well. I see Spider-Woman. I think I saw Captain Marvel here as a bio character. Yep, right there. So I mean, yeah, and Jessica Jones. So we do have aspects of A-Force if that's also a team that you previously built. And although they weren't actually really heavily used in the last Scourge, they were one of the required teams that were needed, but Young Avengers really took over that meta there. So that's the bio summary, guys. I think those are some of the better characters overall in terms of what we can see. And again, team chemistry is going to be important because you want that synergy to matter in the long haul, especially when the team and allies are working with each other against these waves of enemies. Now, next up, the nodes 3 and 4 requiring the classification of Avenger. There's a lot of characters here that we can utilize, and the good news is a lot of characters we should already have built up if you're involved in the meta, and if you're involved in the end game stages. So I mean, Thor and Hulk are the really two obvious ones because they're already going to be used as a requirement, in my opinion, for nodes 5 and 10. I'm thinking about using a hybrid team synergy. Now that I've kind of seen more details on what the waves look like, that might change, but I mean, either way, Thor remains to be the best usage character because he's going to be part of Wave 1 and Heroes Asgardian, so I think he's just going to be a safe choice to build him up. I don't know if I'm going to bring him up to gear tier level 16. That remains to be seen. I need to see how these waves shake out to be, but then I'll keep you guys posted on the actual team that actually seems to find success. Hulk, another one. He's a lock-in. We know that we need the Gamma team for the Scourge events in regards to unlocking Apocalypse as well once all this is said and done. Whether or not we use him in this Scourge, that remains to be the question. So he also remains to be a safe choice. I think Thor and Hulk are the two locks right there. But again, I need to see the actual attacks utilized in the waves and so forth to see if they're actually going to be providing value. But otherwise, I mean, this is a great chance. Nodes 3 and 4, anytime we can use any of these characters that precede an actual required, like node 5 and node 10, we can build up their energy and get them ready to go for those nodes. So just keep that in mind. I think that might be part of the rationale and strategy for nodes 4 and 3, just to build these guys up and make sure their energy is ready to go. But otherwise, what are some of the better characters if you don't want to use Thor and Hulk? If you strictly just want to focus on an Avenger team that's powerful. I mean, I already went earlier and said that, you know, the cool thing about the Young Avengers is that they actually all have the Avenger classification too. So you can use a full-on Young Avenger team that we've already utilized. And that's, you know, Squirrel Girl, we have America Chavez, Miss Marvel, Echo, as well as Kate Bishop. All of them are here and they can be utilized. And if you built it up for the last Scourge, actually that's who I would recommend because you know, their synergy, you likely would have already had them built up as high as you possibly can if you were pushing the Scourges. I also see the Secret Avengers here, right? So we have Captain America Sam, we have Sharon Carter, and we also have Maria Hill. And that synergy is also going to be utilized later, as you'll see in the later nodes discussion. But I mean, having these powerful characters, I think this Avenger section is going to be really good. We might need multiple teams to go through it because, you know, they do look pretty powerful in terms of some of the characters we're facing up against, like Shang-Chi and Kestro, Black Bolt, so forth. So there's a lot of offensive enemies that we do need to take down, and there likely need to be a couple stronger teams that we need. Black Panther's a good one too, since the rework. But otherwise, another obvious one is going to be the Bionic Avengers, if you guys have them built up. I know a lot of my alliance mates do because of the Doom 3 raids, but they're another new one that just got recently added, and you can see they're part of the higher characters in my roster because I'm also trying to build them up towards being viable in my Doom 3.4. So another good one overall there. Otherwise, guys, I'm looking down and afterwards, after those two combinations, we don't really get too many options that are part of the meta, right? So I would not recommend the Power Armor team. They've pretty much fallen out now that Iron Man is slotted in with the new Bionic Avengers. So, and Scarlet Witch, you know, she's not really going to shine without the rest of her fellow Darkhold members. So that's why I wouldn't recommend bringing her. But otherwise, everybody else, guys, they can be slotted in. If you want to build up Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, in preparation for this one, and as well as nodes 5 and 10, you're going to find value there. But I think for the Avenger roster, I'm likely going to be utilizing my Young Avengers mixed in with my Secret Avengers, or even my Bionic. So there's options there for sure. And then as well, before I dive into nodes 5 and nodes 10 discussion, I'll just go ahead and continue the rest of the other nodes here. So nodes 6 and 7 is going to be villain, and this is by far, based on what I've seen, guys, you know, it's funny with this one is because it can go really smooth for some folks, or it can be really hard, depending on some of the allies that we have here, because they consist of some of the most powerful characters in the game. But if you don't have access to them, oh man, it is a slugfest to get through. So I'll start off with the obvious ones here: Morgan Le Fay, Doctor Doom, and Omega Red. I mean, they're just part of that trifecta team. all of their abilities are extremely powerful, and especially Morgan Le Fay and Omega Red with their abilities being able to scale HP. You know, so it doesn't really matter who we're up against. They're always going to hit like a truck, no matter who they're up against, right? So that's something to keep in mind. I also like the option here of Yondu now being included, because if you recall, Yondu and the Ravagers are actually included as part of the notes 5 and 10 requirements. So this does happen after notes 5, but I mean, this would be one of those examples where likely if you're planning to bring them onto the later notes, we can build up energy and utilize them maybe to clean up the wave. But as well, they're all villains too, right? So that's something to keep in mind, with the exception of T'Challa. But you can definitely use them as preparation characters as well. Otherwise, the other key recommendations would actually be taking a look down here, and some of the more powerful characters that we've seen in the meta, right? We do actually see aspects of Dark Code. So we have Doctor Strange Heartless, we have Agatha Harkness. Both of them are here, and they're pretty powerful, even together, and they're not alone. The full team synergy of Dark Code, they still can add value, especially Agatha. She can shut down a lot of enemies with her ultimate ability. High energy cost, but if she has the right allies around her, honestly speaking, we got Morgan Le Fay too. So I mean, having those three in that tandem, as well as having a sustained character like Doctor Doom, Omega Red providing crowd control, that's a really good team combination right there. Ebony Maw, I have actually used him in the past. If you guys don't have the other characters I mentioned, he does provide some sustainability and some defensive support, so that's nice to have as well if you guys don't have any other healing or as well as defensive support on the team, right? Lady Deathstrike, the synergy with Omega Red is really good. Just having her own kind of self-sustain with evasion, death proofs, and being able to manipulate turn meter, that's huge in my opinion. So adds value there. Definitely those guys are some of the better characters that I've noticed. If you scroll down here and just take a look at the rest of them, I mean, if you have a strong built-up Ultron, I think he can add value, but otherwise, there are some Dark Hunters here, like Morbius and as well as Mordo, that you can likely utilize. Dormammu's a no-brainer as well if you haven't built up, but just haven't had the gear investment and time to bring him up, and he does cost a lot of gear, so I think that's a slot in. If you have Dormammu, definitely a strong addition, but if you're mid-game, transition to end-game, you likely won't have some of the better characters I mentioned at the start. Otherwise, just a boatload of minion characters, and you won't see a lot of other powerful characters down here. I just don't think their synergy is going to be enough. I think some of these, these powerhouses at the top here is really going to be the difference maker, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. I think these are some of the better characters that are going to make a meaningful difference in the villains node. And usually with the 3 or 4 of the ones I mentioned, you should actually have a pretty straightforward time, just because we get such a powerful array of characters. And then lastly, the first time that we're seeing this right now in the notes is going to be the skill section. Very similar to global, because a lot of these skilled characters actually belong in the global, and then vice versa, right? So we get to see some aspects again of heroes as guardians. I wouldn't recommend bringing them in because, like I said, they're usually only pretty good with the rest of their team synergy. So Valkyrie and Sif, I wouldn't actually take a look at them. We see Killmonger again being used, but I think the Wakandans work better as a team as opposed to the individual parts. So I would not recommend Okoye or Killmonger bringing them in. Who I would recommend is something I already touched on earlier, actually, is the Secret Avengers. Captain America, Sam, Sharon Carter, and Marie Hill really make the most sense just because of their synergy with each other, and that synergy is also part of the Doom 2, Doom 3 raids. If you guys are actively involved, that's a slot in meta team right there. Who we would fill in is actually ironically the same 2 characters in my opinion as the rest of the raid teams as well, which is Shang-Chi and Kestrel. Shang-Chi has good sustain. He also can cleanse, as well as having a very powerful ultimate ability that scales with the number of positive buffs on the enemy. So I think that's a no-brainer. Shang-Chi should definitely be a lock. A huge investment character, because he just plays such a pivotal role whenever he's involved in any team, and he can be a slot in. And then same thing with Kestrel. I would recommend bringing her just because she has so many capabilities, her support, and she's a standalone warrior that can self-sustain herself, right? She doesn't need any team members to give her support, and having that synergy right there, I think, is pretty much going to be the key difference maker here for these nodes. I think those 5 should be the ones that can get the job done. But in case we need a sacrifice node, some of the better characters that we can utilize have already been leveraged from previous nodes. So I mean, we can throw in characters like Moondragon, Echo, Nick Fury, Baron Zemo. There's some of the better ones here that I got somewhat built up, and we can use them as kind of a B team to actually take up damage if we need to bring in our skill team afterwards. Otherwise, guys, there's not many characters I would recommend. As you can see, a lot of them aren't even built up, and I do have to, choose quality over quantity here. So unfortunately, the skill pickings isn't great because it's going to pretty much mirror what you're doing in your Doom 2 and Doom 3 raids. But fortunately, we do have access to the Secret Avengers, and they are by far the best energy team that we can utilize for this specific trade classification. Now, that said, guys, that pretty much concludes everything here now from nodes. Pretty much for the majority of the 8 nodes. Now, it's just nodes 5 and nodes 10. And I have got a chance to actually take a look at what characters and enemies are actually in those 2 nodes. And my goodness, I'm not sure if they revised it or maybe it's subject to change, but it is going to be, it goes without saying, I think this is actually going to be one of the hardest Scourges we've seen because if you recall, nodes 5, is generally a first bottleneck of the Scourge. You're trying to run it and trying to get through it. And just having characters like Omega Red being in there, Doctor Strange Heartless, I think I saw Wong, and then we also have aspects of Unlimited X-Men like Phantom X, Dazzler, and just having that against us, it really does work against a lot of teams that we actually have accessible right now for this Scourge. So the main 10 I have on screen right now is actually part of my A team and my B team. This is a team of, Gambit shouldn't be there, but I'm also working in the Unlimited X-Men, but Gambit shouldn't be there. But generally, these first 9 characters I have are my best heroes, Asgardians. They're my best Ravagers or my best Wave 1 characters. And I feel like some way, shape, or form, there's going to have to be a hybrid here in terms of getting through. But likely, based on what we're seeing right now, with that combination of Unlimited X-Men and Omega Red, and again, like I said, the Weapon X being in there with Darkhold aspects, we're going to need some sacrifices here. And I think that's either going to be the Ravagers or the Wave 1, but it honestly does look like Heroes as Guardians might be the clear winner here in terms of the team that we want to bring in, because they're honestly going to be the only ones that can kind of sustain their damage output from the enemies. And I say that because I think this is going to be one of the first Scourges where we might have to utilize a bare minimum of 2 powerful teams, and even with the first team being like built not to the same level as your A team, but they need to be able to take up some damage or at least take down some enemies, which is something I've never focused on, right? Usually I just throw them in there, they soak up damage, boom, I bring in my B team, my team that's going to clear. But at the end of the day here, you can see a lot of my characters aren't even built up and ready, so I think we have to be realistic. This is a very powerful teams that we're up against with nodes 5, and that's going to be the first bottleneck, getting through them. Now, afterwards, it's funny, the nodes 10 is actually even, I personally think it's worse than nodes 5 because we're actually up against the full Bionic Avengers, aspects of power armor, and then even just some remnants of the astonishing X-Men. So I don't know if it's even worth it, guys. I'm gonna play it out and actually make the full videos for you once that comes out, but I don't know if it's worth it to push as high as you can just to beat nodes 10. It might actually even make more sense just to do as best as you can and get to nodes 9. Because I don't know if this team, Heroes as Guardians, Ravagers, even the Wave 1, I don't know if they have the capability to take down the new meta team in the Bionic Avengers. I'm usually using them, the Bionic Avengers in my Cosmic Crucible to take down Heroes as Guardians. So, ironically, that's the position we're placed in right now. But yeah, food for thought, guys. I will have to say, though, if you are planning to build up a similar team for myself, or even a hybrid, the ones I recommend is going to be Thor and Hulk, because they're already part of the meta. Like I said, they're going to be safe, guys. They're going to be safe choices to build. Another one would be T'Challa. I think there's going to be some aspects where we need to bring in T'Challa to steal the energy, or at least get the turn, meter, speed advantage against the enemy, such as Omega Red, just to be able to kind of soak up that first initial attack or damage, be able to ensure that he doesn't crowd control us right from the get-go, right? I think those are the 3 that I'm kind of starring right now in terms of what I'm going to do, but otherwise, my Heroes as Guardians likely will be leaning on Valkyrie and Mighty Thor to have that synergy. And Black Widow was another one I mentioned before where I made gameplay on it, and I think she's going to be providing a lot of value in regards to providing speed up. But is she going to survive? Not likely. So she'll likely be a part of my initial team or a sacrifice to at least get the edge on the enemy beforehand. But that's what I have right now, guys. Preemptively, it's still looking like we need at least 2 teams here, and my teams will likely be hybrids, but Heroes as Guardians looking like the strength here, the main team to build up in terms of what we need in terms of getting the job done. So I'll keep you guys posted. Once obviously more information comes out, and if there anything changes, then we'll definitely be better prepared. But hopefully this is able to help you guys. Good luck in your preparation as well. We still have time. It seems like it should be out in a week or two here, anytime we see these kind of data mines come out. So thank you as always, you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Good luck in your farming and training, and as well, I'll keep you guys posted. Thank you, and see you guys in the next one.